Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about something super important in JavaScript. That's let, var, and const, and then the differences. If you're confused about when to use which one, don't worry, you're not alone. Let's break it down with some simple examples and fun facts. The first one is var. I may want to give it another name, the old school way, because you could see a bunch of var if you have collaborated with some legacy projects, but it's outdated actually, because var is like your grandpa's favorite tool. It works, but sometimes it causes problem. Let's make it clear. Var is function scoped, which means it doesn't care about blocks, and it can be redeclared, which can lead to bugs. For example, when I declare a variable x and redeclare it, it's okay. It causes no error. So use it if you are maintaining old code because you have no choice. But don't use var in new projects. We'll talk about it later. Is let. I'll call it the modern way, since let is like a smart assistant, clean and careful. It is block scope and you can change the value. Let's look at the example. When you declare a variable by let, and you can declare it, you can assign a new value to it later. It's okay, but you can't redeclare it. It will cause error. So in another word, let way is to split declaration and the implementation in a clear way to make sure the process going right. The second character of let is it can only run in the same scope. Let's look at an example. When you are doing iteration, this may be the most place you could use let, because after iteration the let will be automatically deleted and the ROM was cleaned. And after that, if you const log I, it may be it causes error. But when you use the variable that's declared by let way, you can use it in the same scope. It's okay. The last one is const. It could be perfectly suitable if we call it a bodyguard because it means constant, const. Once you set it, you can't change it. For example, if you set a const like pi, you set it as 3.14159. It's like a const number, and you not want to change it later. For another example, if I set the const way to variable name, I may not want to change it later, change the name to Tom, because everybody only have one name. But watch out, if you use it with objects or arrays, you can still change the content. For example, when I set a variable user as a dictionary and the only element in the dictionary is the Alice name, and later I can change the parameter name to Tom, because the const way only define or declare the dictionary, not the exact element in it. That's the one thing you need to pay attention. For the last part, I will show one normal error you will meet in JavaScript programming: Temporal Dead Zone. In another word, TDZ, which is common in functions with complex dependencies between parameters. Let's look at an example. When you do the same thing to var, it's okay. But when you do it to let way, it could make reference error, because it's like the TDZ is like in JavaScript way to telling you can't use what you haven't properly declared. Let's look at a further example. That is, even though you declare the x in let way, outside the iteration, you couldn't use it get into the iteration, even though you create it after, because this is a new block and a new way to implementation. Before the implementation, you have no declaration. And for second example, I'll let this question for you to answer. Why does the second parameter cost TDZ? Comment your answer and I will share my thoughts and talk with you below the video. So, what should you use? My simple advice: first, use const by default. Second, if you need to reassign the value, most time in real world is when you use iteration and only want a temporal variable, use let. Third, only use var if you have a good reason, like it's code. That's it today. If you learned something, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more fun tips. See you next video.